Hello there. I'm doing this video basically as a public service for all the men out there who are, let's say, older in age and who experience problems with their prostate. They may not even know it's a problem with the prostate. But if you have symptoms such as you find it difficult to pee, go to the bathroom, number one. And when you do go, you stand or sit there and wait, and it seems like it takes forever for it to actually start. And then when it starts, it barely comes out, or it comes out in dribbles. And you think you're done. You go back to your bed or your chair, and just a few minutes later, you feel the need to go to the bathroom again. Those are symptoms of a prostate, an enlarged prostate. If you get up multiple times during the night to go to the bathroom, another symptom. I won't go through all the symptoms. You can look it up. The purpose of this video is to tell you about what is basically one of the latest procedures out there to do. It's not surgery, it's a procedure, and it's known as prostate artery embolization. PAE for short, prostate artery embolization. It's done by a doctor known as an interventional radiologist. An interventional radiologist. And it's non-invasive. The cool thing about this procedure is that it actually goes to the root of the problem, and it solves the problem with the prostate itself. All of the other procedures that are surgeries that are out there, such as what the one known as TURP, transurethral resection procedure, or something like that, TURP, T-U-R-P. That's the most common solution, and it's really not a solution that most men have been having to go through for years now. And basically, it's also known as the Roto-Rooter technique, where if you know anything about Roto-Rooter, so say you've got a clogged sewage line or something, they have this spring pipe thing, and they stick it in there in your line, and then they run it all up through there, and they're scraping the sides of your sewer line. Well, that's what they do under this TURP situation. They stick a thing right up your, you know what, and literally scraping the inside of it to give it more of a wider opening, so that then you can pee a lot easier. It works, but I don't think, if you think about that, do you really want to do that? And it really doesn't address the problem itself, which is the enlarged prostate. And that's the one thing that the prostate artery embolization does. It actually goes to the problem and solves it. It's very simple. It's not even a surgery. It's called a procedure for a reason. They don't cut you. And if anybody who has ever had their blood drawn, what they do is, you stick your arm out, they tie your arm off, and they stick a needle right there in your arm, and they take blood out. That's exactly the same thing that's done with this prostate artery embolization. They literally they go in usually through your abdomen, which is closest to the prostate, and there's a main artery in there. And they literally do something like they would like an IV when you go to the hospital or something. They just attach that, and what they do is they run through this, I call it a wire, and it's a really small wire, but it's got a camera on it, and it also has the ability to deliver medication, or in this case, tiny beads. And what they do, they run this wire all the way down into your prostate on both sides. You have an artery going on both sides of the prostate. What happens is this wire will go to the end of the artery that goes into your prostate, and when it gets to the end, it'll actually deliver these tiny microscopic beads that'll fill up the end of this artery, and then they go and do it on the same thing on the other side, and those beads are held in place literally by your blood pressure. So if you're worried about those beads getting lost, the only way they can get lost is if you have no blood pressure. In other words, you're dead. So they're going to stay there. But what happens is they cut off the blood flow to the end of the artery. And if there's no blood flow at the end of the artery, the prostate there at that portion begins to shrink because it has no blood supporting it to give it life. So it begins to shrink. And it does this on both sides because you put the beads on both sides. And then what happens is it shrinks. That's the problem. You had an enlarged artery, so you shrink it. And when you shrink it, those urethral, the tube that goes from your bladder and goes out to where you out your body, that tube has been constricted, been squeezed because this prostate is enlarged and it squeezed it to death. And so now, what happens when the prostate is shrunk? It shrinks, and now this tube is open wide again. So now you can pee like a kid again. It's great, and again, there's no surgery, there's no cutting. Okay. Now, I will say that I just had this procedure done in June of 2025. So this is current information, and I will tell you my experience. All of this is what I studied this for months before getting this procedure done, because I just wanted to make sure that this was viable. It's been out there for over a decade, but most people hadn't heard of it. Even my own urologist hadn't even heard about it, which is strange because she's a fairly new doctor, graduate of medical school and everything, and she did not know anything about it. She was recommending surgery. So I said, well, let me do my own research, and that's what I came up with. And this is Johns Hopkins University, the Mayo Clinic, Harvard Medical School, Stanford Medical. All of these, they all have it. In fact, if you go to your local hospital website and search for interventional radiologists, you'll see a whole list. There's usually many, and the reason why is because they're busy every day doing these PAE procedures for men who have this problem. And most men, when you look at the stats, when you're over 50, it starts the rising that you're going to have a problem, and over 60, the percentage goes up, and by 70, it's something like 85% of men, they're going to have a problem. Okay, so anyway, I'll tell you my story. Okay, what I did. Okay, I went in there and this is in Oakland, California, at Summit Medical Center, Altabate Summit Medical Center Hospital. And I was supposed to arrive at 6 o'clock in the morning. My appointment for the procedure was 8 o'clock, but they wanted me to get there at 6 o'clock, and I said, okay. I figured that, yeah, okay, they just want to make sure I got there. No. As soon as I got in there, they checked me right in, got me into the pre-procedure room. And first thing, they had me brought a lab girl in, and she wanted to take a blood sample, even though I had just had a blood sample like a week earlier that was required in order to make sure I was qualified, that my body wouldn't have any problem with the dye that they put in there, so the surgeon can actually, the interventional radiologist can see exactly where he's fishing the wire through. So anyway, but they took another sample. I guess they wanted a current one as of that morning. So she came in, took my sample, and then she went to the lab with it. In the meantime, they're prepping me, take my clothes off, put the gown on, just like they would for a regular surgery. In fact, it looked and it felt like a surgical procedure, but it wasn't. Okay, but all the prep that you would do in a surgery, that's exactly what they did. Anyway, so as 8 o'clock approached, I was thinking, okay, well, when are we going in? The doctor came to see me at 10 to 8, about 10 minutes before we were supposed to go in there, and he just, chit-chat with me. Yeah, everything's fine. I'm feeling good and everything. And he was ready to go. I said, yeah, let's get moving, okay. So they wheeled me in. But then we got delayed because they were still waiting for the blood results from the lab. The lab was slow that morning, so the procedure was supposed to start at 8 o'clock, didn't start until 5 till 9. But in the meantime, when they wheeled me into which I guess you call it the operating room, but it's because it can be used for surgery too. But it was a procedure. I had 5 male nurses all around and 1 female nurse. And everybody had their own job to do, and the doctor. And I was on this table, this big machine that would swing over the top of me, that was constantly monitoring where the blood, because they put dye in there so that the surgeon, interventional radiologist, can see on the screen right there beside him exactly where the prostate is and where the veins, the arteries are, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's pretty cool, and I'm awake. I can see all this going on. But they did give me some slight, what do you call it, medication to sedate me, not sedate me, but just to, so I didn't feel any pain, let's put it that way. And I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything that was happening down there at all, but I was able to watch everything, and I was watching the TV monitor. I could see what the interventional radiologist was doing, and I mean, it was just like you see on the videos on YouTube. However, most of the videos I watched on there, these guys are saying, "Oh yeah, it's a 20-minute procedure." And I was out the door and I drove home. And no. And every doctor I talked to out here was like, "No, you can't drive home." No, it's going to take about an hour, hour and a half, depending on who I talked to and everything. Well, my procedure took almost 2 hours. And again, that's fine with me. I mean, honestly, I lay there and I swear to you, it only seemed like a few minutes, but at the end of it was 2 hours. And so they, after it was done, they go, "Okay, we're done." And the interventional radiologist said I was the best patient he had had all week. So I guess in his eyes, it was cut and dried, easy, prepared, and everything. But to me, I was thinking, well, why does it take 2 hours? But because they go in right there near it, and it doesn't seem like it should take that long. But again, hey, I don't really want the guy rushing anyway. I want him to make sure he does everything coolly, and so that's all he does every day, 5 days a week. Do these PAE procedures. That's how busy he is, and there's a multitude of interventional radiologists, and they're all doing the same thing. So it's pretty popular, and it does beat the heck out of the TURP. I will tell you that right now. But anyway, they wheeled me back into the out to the pre and post op or areas, and I was laying there, and they wanted me just to lay there. They want to watch, and the point, they want to make sure that I can at least go to the bathroom, before they let me go. So, but it was a while, and I hadn't had any water, because you can't drink, just like a surgery. They don't want you eating or drinking after midnight. So anyway, they finally they came in and said, "Well, here, we need you to drink of this water here. So we want to get you hydrated and make sure you can go to the restroom and everything." I said, "Okay." So I drank it, and actually the water was really good, and they also wanted me to eat something. So I ordered for what they had. I said, "Give me that turkey sandwich," and strangely enough, I mean, it was just I only wanted turkey on bread or a roll, whatever. Anyway, they gave me turkey on between 2 slices of bread, and it sounds plain and everything, but I tell you right now, strangely enough, it tasted really good. I ate that whole thing. I almost asked for another one. They said they would give me another one if I wanted it, but I was like, well, I didn't want to look like a pig. But I tell you, that turkey sandwich was excellent. It was just something else, and I drank 2 glasses of the water. I say glass, it was in these cups. You know how you're in the hospital. And so it was good. So then finally the guy says, "Okay, well, we need to take the catheter out." Well, and I forgot that. That was, my doctor also required that he put a catheter in. Well, I've never had that done, and I ain't lying, that was awful. They stuck it in, and it was painful, but I recovered from that. Well, the worst part was when he had to take it out. The guy says, "Okay, I'm going to take it out." And of course, since I really wasn't feeling too much pain, in fact, I wasn't feeling any pain at that point. Yeah, go ahead. I figured it would just slide out. Well, I tell you right now, it felt like it was like somebody had a cheese grater and was ripping the inside out of my, what. That's what it felt like. And he says, "Okay, it's out." I said, "Well, I don't think so. It feels like it's still into me." And then he went to check, and sure enough, it was still there. Well, I can best describe how he did this is like if you have a TV plugged into the wall, and somebody says unplug the TV. Well, you're supposed to reach down there with your hand and grab the plug that's plugged into the outlet, and then pull the plug out. That's what you're supposed to do. But sometimes people, they just grab the cord and yank it. Well, that's what this guy did. He grabbed the cord or whatever it was the catheter was hooked to, and just yanked it, and that thing popped out. And I swear, it was like I was going to pop off the table. I ain't lying. It was something else. That was awful. So that kind of ruined the whole experience. Was basically problem free, and that wasn't a problem, but it just. I think he could have done a little better. This male nurse, and this guy was 55 years old, and again he does this all morning, every morning. That's all they were doing in there. So and he's been an RN for 30 years, and so. I don't know, but I swear that was not good. So after I recovered a few minutes from that experience, then they go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom fine, but they did say, and all the other reviews that are out there will tell you that for the first few times you go to the bathroom after you've had this procedure, that there will be a little bit of blood in the urine, and every time you go to the bathroom it will decrease, and that's exactly what happened. And I'd say after the first few hours I had no more blood, which that made me feel good, because I actually thought it would only happen the first couple of times, but I think it happened the first 7 or 8 times I went to the bathroom. But I noticed each time it was gradually less and less. So I was personally just happy when the blood quit showing up in the urine. So I thought, okay, we're making progress now. But the thing was, that first night, I was going to the bathroom like every 10-15 minutes. I had the urge, and you had to get there. In fact, I had only slight control of my I don't know what you call it, bladder, and so what happened? I would get a couple of drops started stuff, and if I didn't get there real quick, I would get a little bit more than a couple of drops coming out. And I said, okay, I don't want to be wetting my underwear or something, so I ended up ordering some diapers, which I thought I'd never do, and I wore them for about a week. Just because I wanted to make sure, because I didn't want to, in the middle of the night or something, have some accident on my bed. So I did that, but I really, after the first couple of days, I really wasn't having any leak problems, but I was just wearing those just as a preventative measure, just to make sure. But I ain't lying. They will tell you that you will experience painful urination for sometime up to 2 weeks, they said, after this procedure. And I'll tell you, every time I went to the bathroom, it was like, I hated it, because I knew the pain was going to come. And boy, as soon as if you let it go, I mean, when it starts to come out, it was like, oh my gosh, it was awful. I mean, it was just awful. It was an intense burning, and it just, oh gosh, it was bad. So I thought, I can't wait till this is over with, And eventually, after about a week, the pain was only at the beginning of the urination. Then it subsided as it continued to come out, so it got better. By the way, like I said, the first 36 hours afterwards, I didn't get any sleep. I really didn't, because every 10-15 minutes, it was telling you had to go, and since I really had no control over or very tiny little bit of control, just enough to hold it where I can get to the bathroom and not pee all over the chair or the bed or wherever I was at. And so that was difficult. And my niece, who's a nurse, she knew I was having the procedure, and she asked me about it, and I told her about that, and she said, you need to get you a donut to sit on, a donut pillow. And of course, I was like, a what? A donut pillow? She goes, yeah, it's a pillow shaped like a donut. You sit on that, and that will really help alleviate the pressure. And I happened to think that I had a spare one of those neck pillows that was pretty thick and everything. And I said, well, hey, I've got a neck pillow. Let me try that. I put that neck pillow in the chair and sat on it. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was instant relief. I was like, man, I can't believe my niece, the nurse, she knew that, and I was like, wow, who would have thought, a simple thing like a neck pillow or a donut pillow would solve that problem. But I tell you, from then on, I was able to sit in the chair, and I didn't have to go to the bathroom every 15 minutes. I was able to sit there for a while, and because they wasn't putting direct pressure where you sit on that area. So that's a little hint out there. You know, you guys get a neck pillow or something available, and you sit on that. And because if you think about it, when you sit down, you know you're putting direct pressure right on the prostate. So with a neck pillow, you're elevating that area. You know, you're being supported on the pillow around your butt and the beginning of your thighs. So the area where the prostate is able to kind of sort of hang there in the middle of the donut, so there's no pressure. So it really helps the situation. So anyway, I would say they had told me that it could be that usually you start noticing some of the results of the PAE, prostate artery embolization procedure, after about 3 weeks. Well, I would say about 2 days before I was coming up on the 2-week mark, I always sit on the toilet when I pee, because I learned when I was a single man, when I first moved out of the house, that when you stand there and it splatters everywhere, you're by yourself. You're the one that's got to clean it up. So I learned right then and there, just sit down. Ain't nothing wrong with sitting down, going to the bathroom, number one, and it's a lot easier to clean the toilet then. But anyway, about 10 days or so after, maybe 11 days after I had the procedure, I go to the bathroom and I was feeling, wait a minute, this feels a little bit different. Not much, but I feel like there's a little bit of some kind of difference. Well, I thought I was kind of, I'm hallucinating or something. Well, the next day it got a slightly better, and I would say by the 14th or 2-week mark, I thought, yeah, okay, there's definitely something happening here. I'm starting to feel results here, you know. And today, as I record this, it's been exactly 6 weeks since my procedure, and I can tell you, I had a neighbor across the street who had the TURP procedure done twice, and he said that, yeah, now after I've had the procedure, he likes to say that he can go out and help put out forest fires now, because he's got that much flow that he can just stand there and just spray the fires. That's what and of course we laughed about it, and he's joking, you know. But I thought, man, I really want to go help my neighbor put out forest fires, and that was kind of the thing, you know. You just want to get back to where you just go to the bathroom. Whoever thought that would be a problem? But you know, we get older, that's what it happens, you know. So what happened was I put in. I like to describe it as, I would tell people, he'd say, well, how are you doing? I said, well, I'll tell you right now, if I'm standing on a sidewalk and there's a smoldering cigarette butt right on the sidewalk right in front of me, I would struggle to be able to even get enough drops out to even attempt to try to put out the cigarette. But now, I told my neighbor the other day, I said, you know, now if there's a smoldering cigarette butt on the sidewalk, I can put it out. I've got flow now. You know, I can actually point and aim, and I can hit that cigarette butt. And he said, well, yeah, you're not quite ready to put out forest fires. I said, no, I'm not quite ready to put out forest fires yet, but that's definitely an improvement. So, you know, we joke about it. But anyway, so now it's 6 weeks, and you know, I'm not quite at the forest fire putting out yet, but it's worth it. I can tell you right now, it's worth it to get the prostate artery embolization procedure, because it works. And they said from 3 weeks to about 6 months. During that time, you'll get better and better. You'll see improvement over all that time. It takes, you know, that long, because you're actually shrinking the prostate. It's not like you walk out of there and it's shrunk. You know, it takes time. You know what I mean? So. But it addresses the problem. It doesn't do all these things like medication. There are medications you can take out there they don't shrink the prostate, but they sort of try to relax the muscles that control the prostate or something like that, and they work. They give you better flow and everything. But who wants to take medication the rest of your life? I don't. I wanted to solve the problem. Think of it as like somebody gets shot. And they got a bullet going through, and they got blood coming out, so somebody sticks a Band-Aid over it to stop the blood from coming out. They go, okay, I put a Band-Aid on it, there's no bleeding, you're good now. You're still bleeding inside, you know what I mean? You got to go in there and address the problem, not just kind of put a Band-Aid on it. Take a medication, that's a Band-Aid. That's the way I look at it. You got to solve the problem. So that's what prostate artery embolization does, PAE for short. Google it. There's a ton of information out there, a lot of YouTube videos. Watch them. There's some that detail exactly what's happening in graphic form. Others do show the actual video from other procedures that other people have had done. But I'm here to tell you my review of how it went, how it was to me. The procedure itself was just fine. The only bad part for me was the guy putting in and taking out the catheter. I never saw anybody anywhere online in these reviews that I saw online. Nobody's ever said anything about a catheter. And yet, when I was calling around for doctors, interventional radiology doctors, and I actually had consultation with two. They both said that we will be inserting a catheter in, and I was like, why? I didn't see anything about it online. But no, we do. So I was like, never having had it done, I didn't. Oh well, the catheter. Not I never even seen one visually. I never even saw this one that was in me. But from what I understand, they're basically a small tube, and they just put some lubrication on it and just stick it on up in there. I thought, okay, if you lubricate it, all right. As long as somebody knows what they're doing, it should slide in, slide out. That's what I would have thought. I still don't understand why it was so painful. Coming out anyway. I might understand it slightly going in, but once it's in there, it should just slide out. But at least it didn't feel like it just slid out. It was awful. I ain't lying. It was just, like I said, it didn't feel like it's anything smooth. It felt like a cheese grater as it was pulling out. It was just ripping the insides out of that's what it felt like. But the procedure itself went fine. I love it because I love the science behind it. It actually addresses the problem. And that's what you want to do. You want to fix the problem of an enlarged prostate. Fix it. And that's what this does. So I highly recommend it, but watch the videos online. There's a lot of them out there. A lot of other people, how they are feeling, and they're feeling great. And here's the thing. And I don't know. I just thought it was a fluke at first, but I've got a lot more energy after this procedure was done. I mean, my yard work, I do it once a week. I'm in California. We have to do yard work about 9-10 months out of the year. Cut grass, trim bushes, and trim flowers and plants and everything. And I was at the point where just this year that I had to divide it up and do some one day and some the other. And after this procedure, after about 2 weeks, once I felt like I was good enough to get outside and work in the yard again, not only did I do it all in one day, I was doing other things like washing the wife's car. I was like, where am I getting all this energy? And before, I couldn't even finish my yard work in one day. I had to divide it into 2 days, and now here I'm doing all my yard work in one day, plus other things, washing the car. I pressure washed the neighbor's wooden gate, cleaned his gate off. I mean, that was 2.5 hours. And I did all that after I had done my yard work. I mean, and this has been 3 weeks in a row now, 4 weeks in a row, excuse me, that I've been able to work in the yard and everything. And I'm able to get it all done and have plenty of energy left. I've been doing other things. So I think it must be a side effect, and it's a good side effect, that you got more energy after this thing is done. So I highly recommend prostate artery embolization. And again, this was done in Oakland, California, at Altabase Summit Medical Center, Summit Hospital in Oakland. So anyway, that's it. I want to thank Altabase Summit Medical Center, Dr. Richard Hong, the interventional radiologist who performed my procedure, and all the staff there, and everybody was really nice.